Panic. Just one word. Panic. Disney is in a bit of a panic, and it is well-deserved one. They've got a real problem on their hands when it comes to this proxy battle, and it seems like the playing field is a little bit more level than we anticipated, or we expected, or we planned on. It was possible that Nelson Peltz had no shot to get onto the boards. And with individuals controlling about 40% of the company's shares now, and a lot of those people not really digging the way Disney's headed, and all of the institutionals split, this is going to be a wild ride. Inspiring Disney panic. So we're going to move to the story quickly with a quick reminder that you can check out the merchandise over at beachpunk.us. It really does help supporting me, the channel, and all the other endeavors that I'm trying to create to build culture in our sphere. On that note, let's get to the story. We're going to start first with the New York Times because we have 4 stories to talk about very quickly. They each tell a different side of the tale. 40% of the company's shares, and all of those individuals could actually control where we end up. This is probably the most expensive proxy fight in history, at least according to the New York Times, and I don't know that I could argue. One of the great stories that they do here is a pullout from an individual investor named Gavin Doyle, who actually runs a blog that focuses on vacation planning for Disney specifically. And he has been getting absolutely bombarded with political style campaign materials, letters, emails, social media ads that urge him to elect certain people to its board. That's right, being interestingly specific in the white card. And Doyle says, I guess every vote matters. Well, in this particular circumstance, that may be more true than we expected. Disney is usually leveraged and manipulated by the large institutional shareholders, not individuals that, put things together to enrich themselves. Then you have somebody who is quite the activist like Nelson Peltz, who's just seeking 2 board seats, one of them for himself and one of them for Jay Rasulo. You probably know all of this, but there's a lot of things falling into place that really are making just how solid the ground is underneath Disney a little bit more unstable. Moving on, we're going to take a look at the biggest thing that even the institutionals are struggling with, and that is the succession struggles of the past. That seems to be the area that a lot of these larger investors are focused on. With somebody like Nelson Peltz, who has a history of coming in and disrupting a little bit, but not like a corporate raider, he comes in and he looks to make changes that are going to benefit the company overall, increase shareholder value, and probably bring the stock back up to close its historic norms. Now, I think he's got a good shot here, more so than we thought before, because they are focused on the succession plan. So with Disney's April 3rd meeting looming, investors are deliberating whether the board is capable of selecting a strong successor to Bob Iger, whose tenure has been marked by significant highs and lows, no kidding, as was reported by the Wall Street Journal. Well, yeah, we were talking about that the other day. Critics have pointed to the board's role in the selection and subsequent ousting of Bob Chapek in 2020, followed by an extension of Iger's contract upon his return. And that has been a real issue. Of course, we can reference what Neuberger Berman, a longtime investor in Disney, has been saying here. He's also supporting Peltz's hedge fund, Trian Partners. This is a person who controls a significant portion of shares. The managing assets in total that they have under management is $463 billion, whereas they hold approximately 0.1% of Disney shares valued at $254 million. That's a lot. It's not huge, but it's enough because it's going to actually directly counter what just happened with the New York City retirement systems, because they hold about 290.75 million in Disney stock. So those two are going to kind of cancel themselves out. One of us voting for the white card, and that would be the New York City retirement systems. And the other is, of course, an individual looking to, well, an individual management firm that's looking to replace these board members. Now, we're going to keep moving on because the street has actually weighed in just now, today, saying that this is a very enormous and expensive fight over Disney at a time when this move and some other things are definitely going to shift markets this week. So I'm not giving you any kind of stock advice or any financial planning advice. I'm just saying the experts are telling us things are going to shift. So the proxy fight for control over Disney will increasingly grab eyes and ears all the way to the annual meeting, which is at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Time in this case, on Wednesday. And of course, I will be paying attention to that along with many of you. That is actually when the votes will be counted on whether candidates from the two groups of activist investors will be elected to the Disney board. Blackwell's has no chance. Peltz seems to have a better chance than we thought. And he seems to be riding high in Dumbo right down there. This, of course, they tell you is a virtual meeting. It has been for a while, which I don't think is very good. I think this is very bad business because you don't have to look at the shareholders in the face when you tell them you're going to do something that isn't in their best interest. Anyway, so the Disney battle is an election where you can't poll the voters, in this case, the actual shareholders, to any reliable degree. That's true. They just mark their proxies and send them in. Now, normally big investors dominate the voting in a proxy fight, but small investors control around 40% of Disney shares. It's less than 40%, but it's closing in on 40%. And they may well decide the battle. So small investors are just in the game to make money from the stocks, which is what everybody should be in the business for. Unless you're politically driven to destroy the economic engine of the free society. But hey, we'll move on from there. And then you have, will a $75 million fight cost $100 million? Wow. The Disney fight is primarily between Tree and Fund Management, and they control about 1.8% of Disney shares. They want Peltz and Rasulo. They may get Peltz. They probably won't get Rasulo. The second group of Blackwells, which I just talked about, they have no chance. And Peltz is estimated he spent about $25 million on his campaign. Disney guesses theirs cost $40 million. We all know that these numbers are too low, and they've probably spent more across the board. But Peltz is even weighed in around the kinds of entertainment that the company produces, and Disney tried to cast shade on that last week if you were paying attention. He criticized recently Disney suggesting Disney should stop making films with, and it breaks down two categories of things, citing their problems. Disney's Marvel unit did produce a good thing, which grossed $1.3 billion worldwide. The Black Panther film. And that's true. I don't think that was what he was referring to. He was referring to the political engagement around all of the Marvel properties, not just those two, just citing those two as the most recent Black Panther film and the Marvels specifically having such a traumatic failure for the company. So they're going to try to lower some of Disney's spending on entertainment costs and try to get a greater return for shareholders. I don't agree with the lowering operating costs for theme parks. I think Peltz specifically said that they needed to invest more in the theme parks, specifically citing that some of the attractions in the parks were attractions that he saw when his now adult children were little ones. So a lot of things that are said on the street and in other financial places are going to have this kind of a lean. Disney shares have struggled since peaking at about $200 in early 2021. And who was leading the company back then? Chapek. Of course, they fell as low as $79.33, below that $80 level. And they bounced back a little bit, but they're still historically down from where they were. So All the votes have to be in by 11:59 p.m. on Tuesday. And for now, the state of California pension fund, the CalPERS fund, has weighed in on the side of Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo. It looks like even in the home state of California, Disney is not getting the kind of support that they need. This is the one that I think is the game changer. When you see CalPERS and other groups like this decide that they are going to switch gears and vote for somebody who's going to maybe earn them more money, that's very, very telling. So the fund itself, this CalPERS, the California Public Employees Retirement System, told Reuters that it had cast their votes for Tree and Partners nominees, both of them. The fund, which manages $465 billion in assets, owns about 6.6 million Disney shares. Goodness, it makes it one of the company's top 30 investors. That's saying something. Disney declined to comment on the Reuters report. I bet they did. So CalPERS believes that Walt Disney Company will benefit from fresh eyes on the board of directors and voted its company shares in favor of candidates Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo. That sounds like a motto. Another significant person rolling his shares into the proxy for Peltz and Rasulo. That's insane. Just insane. So right now, Disney has about 1.83 billion shares outstanding, and you're starting to see a real shift here. So that pension fund, 6.5 million shares, it's a pretty decent chunk, for not a onesie-twosie. Treans and Blackwells have asserted that Disney's board has been too cozy with Iger and senior management. This is very true. During a time of profound transformation for the company's core film, TV, and parks businesses. There's no lies there. So we'll find out exactly the results of all of this very shortly. But to say that Disney is in a panic might be an understatement. I have serious suspicions that Bob Iger and everybody that's attached to him in senior leadership positions, and even some of the board members, are now going, we really need to find out who's on our team, because they only have 2 more days to try to change hearts and minds. I'm not sure that after what ISS did, again, they have influence over approximately 1/3 of the shares that are held outstanding, at least as far as what their advice is. And they were the leaders in getting Mike Leisner ousted way back when. Of course, this isn't as dramatic as that. This is just an addition of some board members rather than ouster of a CEO. But I don't know. It seems like ISS and Egan Jones and a few others out there, including this massive retirement pension system in California, is, I think they're going to have a ton of influence. But it's not as important what I think. It's what you think. Do you think Disney's actually in full-blown panic? I do. Do you think Iger is concerned that once the board is opened up and some independent eyes are in there, there could be a stop of all the shenanigans that's been going on in private, because every single one of those board members is owned and politically aligned against, us, because you've seen Disney go from an American family entertainment company to a globalist, elitist, neo-Marxist entertainment company that, stopped entertaining. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. I would truly appreciate it. It does look like we could get a win. On that note, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya.